Hey, welcome back to the Menopause Coach Podcast with me, your host, as always, Adele Johnston, your menopause coach and educator for the next 20 minutes or so together here. As always, it goes without saying, these episodes are here for your interest, your knowledge building, but never to replace your medical support or advice. So please make sure that if you are experiencing anything at all that you think you want to ask some medical related questions on, link in with your GP, your medical professional, or your menopause support coach. Let's dive into this one because I get asked so many times, how do I know if it's menopause? Are these signs and symptoms early menopause? Could this be perimenopause? So I want to share with you today the early signs of perimenopause that most women miss. So welcome. I'm so glad that you're here today because we're talking about one of the biggest questions that most of you are probably asking right now in some form or fashion. Can perimenopause begin earlier than our 30s? Can it begin in our 30s? Are we experiencing it a little bit later? But the main thing is, how do I know? Yeah, what are the signs? What are the symptoms? What do I need to know? So if you found this episode because you've been Googling things or you've been AI searching things or you've just been like, I need help, maybe you're asking why you feel so anxious. I get this one a lot from women. Why you feel so exhausted all of the time? Are you taking a lot of midday, I call them nana naps, but little nana naps to get through the rest of the day? I mean, that was part of my early onset symptoms, so we're going to cover that today. And maybe you can't remember words anymore. Maybe there's things that are happening in your body or to your body that you just think, this is so different for me. So you're in the right place. I'm going to take you through this from a truth-based, evidence-based and backed way because there are thousands of you, hundreds of thousands of you that listen to these episodes. So I have that responsibility to make sure that everything I'm bringing to you today is with love, with compassion and evidence-based. So let's look at this from not just imagining things, right? We don't just imagine the things that happen in our physical body or emotionally to us. And we certainly don't want to just sit there and say, oh my gosh, I'm just getting older. Yeah, it's just because I'm aging. My goodness, if I had like a penny for every time that I've heard someone say it's, you are aging or you're just getting a bit older now. And it's like, wow, I'd probably be a multimillionaire by now. It's crazy the amount that we put down to it's just. Yeah, it's not. So we want to make sure that you feel super informed and ready and good for these things because it's really important. Hardly any of us were ever taught about the hormonal transition. Yeah, especially at the age of 43. I'm nearly 43. Yeah, it's my birthday coming up soon. But especially in that generation of us as women in our 40s, we weren't really taught about these things. So because we weren't taught, we weren't armed and ready. Yeah, we weren't like, I know what this means. I've got this knowledge. And we then start to wonder why we feel super stressed and super impacted by things that start to happen. We can see a lot of signs and symptoms of burnout. We can see a lot of signs and symptoms of anxiety and depression that can hit, of not being able to cope with what's happening. And maybe simply just not even feeling like ourselves anymore. Yeah, so today I want to help you understand all of these signs, why they happen, what you can do at the beginning if you're wondering whether this might actually be the start of your menopause story. So let's begin with the basics. Always a good place to start, right? Perimenopause simply means that this is the start phase of the changes to your hormonal profile, predominantly with your estrogen, your progesterone, and or testosterone. For many women, we start to have our changes to testosterone actually in our late 20s to early 30s is when we can start to see a bit of an onset of change there. But it's only then when we start entering into our perimenopause stage that we start to recognize that there's a vast onset of changes and symptoms physically in the body, emotionally, mentally, psychologically. You've heard me talk about how menopause is a biopsychosocial impact to us. It doesn't just affect one part of us, it affects us as a whole. So the transition before menopause is what perimenopause really is. When your hormone levels, like I've said, particularly your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone start to fluctuate and change. Now I've said fluctuate, so notice that, right? Not disappear, not like bottom out. they go into a steady state of reduction. And I really stay away from the word decline because it just sounds so like horrendous, doesn't it? No one wants to hear that they're declining, but it's a fluctuation. Let's just say a steady state of reduction. And that can, from one week to the next, feel entirely different for you. Maybe one week you're like, I feel fine, like literally don't need to speak to anyone. And then the next, you're lying awake at 3 a.m., wondering why your brain won't switch off, wondering when you're going to feel normal again. And if we have any type of disruption to our sleep, we're inevitably feeling quite jaded and tired the next day. And that can last for days or weeks, which is not fun. I find a lot of women will say, will I ever feel normal again? Will I ever feel like me again? So as our hormones are constantly changing during this phase, which can, as a reminder for those that are maybe new here, perimenopause is and can last anywhere from a few years right up to a decade or more. Okay, there's no blueprint, there's no textbook for this. It's literally, for some women, can last just a few years, and for others, a decade. It's still ongoing. And this is where the symptoms can come and go. So as the hormones start to fluctuate, the symptoms too will also do that. And this is the part that I think surprises so many of us as women. Perimenopause can begin in your 30s. Okay, contrary to belief from your GP practice, when you turn up and say, I don't feel great, I don't know what it is, you might be struggling with health anxiety. You might have changes to your nighttime vision. You might find that actually your ability to cope with stressors has changed. And all of a sudden you're thinking, why am I feeling anxious? I've never felt anxious in my life. And it becomes that stack of cards where there's just so many things happening, it's piling up. And one by one, we're knocking things over that we managed to cope with before. So again, noting that it can start in your 30s. So please do not be dismissed if you are turning up time and time again to have conversations about how you feel in your physical body, in your emotional state of well-being, and you're maybe hearing that actually you're too young for it to be menopause, then please very respectfully and lovingly inform that individual, whether they are a specialist in a field, a general practitioner, that actually perimenopause can begin in our 30s. And for some women, it can be earlier, and for some women, a little bit later. So there is no single time frame, there is no blueprint or textbook, like I say, that will say as soon as you hit this age, you will be perimenopausal. Every woman's experience is different. And that's why it makes it a little bit challenging to be able to say, okay, so step 1, this will happen, and then you do this. Step 2, this will happen, and then you do this. We don't have that textbook or blueprint. So the first signs that most women, and I'm going to say most because again, this is not everyone, but most women miss. One of the biggest myths around perimenopause is that it starts with those hot flushes or hot flashes and night sweats. Not always the case. For some women, that can be far into your menopausal journey before that even starts happening and those vasomotor symptoms start to occur. For some women, it can be quite early on. So again, it's recognizing that for many, these vasomotor symptoms of hot flushes or hot flashes and night sweats are not necessarily always your first sign of menopause. The earliest changes are often a lot quieter. Yeah, just a little change here or there. The things that you can easily explain away with, it's just because. It's just because I didn't sleep last night. It's just because I've been under pressure at work. It's just because the kids are off on summer break. It's just because ... And we explain these things away, the things that you've blamed on being busy. And I want to talk about some of them because I have so much love and respect for you. You've shown up here today for yourself. That is hugely, hugely, hugely important. So let's talk about them. Number 1, this was a huge one for me. It was like, oh my God, it was like a bolt out the blue. And I just remember thinking, what even is this? What am I experiencing? Why am I feeling like this? Anxiety. And for any one of you who is already facing anxiety, maybe struggling through anxiety, navigating it, experiencing it, I put my arms around you right now, like huge, massive hug, because it isn't easy. It's not nice. And you notice yourself with this wave of anxiety at times. The heart palpitations may or may not come with that. That feeling in your stomach where you're just like, oh, even just the simplest of things can feel very heavy. Your heart racing, overthinking, maybe feeling like confidence is disappearing and you think, I don't think I can do that drive there today. Or you're due to go to a meeting and you think, oh my gosh, I don't feel prepared. So all of a sudden, it's things that naturally would have been quite easy to you start to trigger this wave of anxiety and this feeling of just being a little bit out of control. You have not done anything wrong, okay? I really want to share that with you. So recognizing that this is because hormonal fluctuations can really affect the chemicals in the brain, your mood regulators. Yeah, for one of them really can be the earliest signs that perimenopause is actually entering your life, or you are entering it. The next one I want to talk about is another big one that really hit me hard. And I'm sure for many of you, you're like, oh my God, yes, brain fog. So you walk into a room and completely forget why you're even there, or you sit down at your laptop ready to do the thing and think, why did I come in here? What was I going to do again? Why did I open up that new tab? What was I going to do? You lose your words halfway through sentences, you forget people's names, and you're just like, oh, this is really frustrating because it's there, it's just not coming out, right? You're like, it's on the tip of my tongue, and it's not coming out. So for me, I found myself with this one getting really frustrated because I'd always been super sharp, like really quick firing, and had to relearn how to work on days where brain fog, it still shows up, was just really kicking my ass. So please know that you are not losing your brain. You are not losing your sharpness and your intelligence. Your brain is simply responding to a slight hormonal change. And I promise you, there will be a point where you get that sharpness back and the brain fog doesn't bother you in that moment. Sleep is another huge one. I know that this is probably one of the biggest complaints that I hear about not being able to fall asleep easily, or falling asleep okay, but then not being able to stay asleep. You get a couple of hours and you're wide awake again and thinking, right, do I get up? Do I go do the thing? Do I get busy and then come back to bed? And you wake up early in the morning absolutely exhausted. So I completely get this. It happens to me on occasion as well. So even those of us that know all about this and know what to do are not immune to these signs and symptoms happening. But what I will say here is, again, this is so important. You have not done anything wrong. Your body is changing, okay? And because we don't have that blueprint and we don't have that timeline of events, it's not like we're going, oh, actually, yeah, I'm going to come into a bit of a sleep issue over this window. So I'm not going to book the speaking gigs. I'm not going to take on the big projects. I'm going to give myself working from home. I'm going to give myself some more flexibility in my diary. I mean, it would be amazing if we had that insight. So we could be like, when you're on like your menstrual period, and you can track on the parts of the month where you're like, I know my energy is going to be high then. I know I'm going to need a really chilled, like lock myself away 24 hours over this window. And we can kind of plan around our hormonal change. Unfortunately, perimenopause doesn't give us that opportunity. Fatigue is another one. Again, exhaustion, fatigue, tiredness. This can really hit, and it's no ordinary tiredness. This is not just a bit of a yawn here or there and I'm a bit tired. It is literally the kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't even seem to fix. For some of us, we're like, oh my God, but I slept last night, or I'm really needing a nap, and you take a 4-hour nap in the afternoon, or a 2-hour nap. Not all of us need the 4. And we wake up and we think, right, okay, I think I feel a bit better for that. And yet we still sleep and we're still tired at nighttime. And you think to yourself, oh my gosh, like the health anxiety. Oh, is there something seriously wrong with me that I need all this sleep? If you could just get that one night's sleep, you might think, I feel like I'd be better. But honestly, the tiredness and the fatigue and the exhaustion that can come from this, your body is going through a lot. And if you could see inside all of the changes that were happening, you would fully understand why you're maybe needing those little nana naps in the afternoon. So beautiful invitation at this point to see that sleep is not weakness. If you need to take a nap in the afternoon because you've not slept well through the night, then please do not be giving yourself a telling off for sleeping through the day, even if it is for a little power nap of an hour, just to be able to give yourself that little recharge to be able to get on with the afternoon. You are inside an unusual time of your life, and there is no rule book to this. So please listen to what your body is telling you and respond with love. Mood changes, changes in your cycle. These are also signs that can come quite early. The changes to your cycle is quite an interesting one, because when we say changes, people will say to me, but what does that mean, Adele? And I'll say, look, do you track your cycle? Because if you track it, you're going to be clearer about what is and is not potentially normal, hashtag or quote, normal for you. But actually, if we get clear around, are they a bit heavier than they usually are? Or are they lighter than they usually are? There's a change. Are they in a shorter period window now? Are you maybe every 21 days than 28 to 30? Are you longer? So again, it's what is a change for you? If you were quite regular in your cycles and had quite a regular flow, and maybe you become irregular and have very heavy bleeds or very light bleeds, maybe they're more painful. Maybe beforehand you've never really experienced period pain and now you're getting pain, or vice versa. So anything that is a change for you that you can see that there is a bit of a trend starting to occur, then again, keeping note of that this is a change for you. It doesn't necessarily directly equal perimenopause, but it is worth noting that if you are noticing changes to your cycle and any of the other symptoms that I've mentioned, then it is worth completing my free perimenopause symptom assessment tracker. You've got access to that in the show notes. Go ahead and check that out if you want to. Aches and pains. So again, this is one that for all of us can be quite alarming at times, but getting out of bed, you might notice you're a bit stiffer, clicky, hips, the joints, aching shoulders, stiff fingers. Many women assume that it's just age and that you're just getting older, or you've maybe done a little bit too much in your gym workouts. Could be the case. But hormones play a huge role in keeping the joints and the connective tissues fluid and healthy, and ensuring that there's appropriate levels of cushioning between all the joints. Yeah, this is really important. Estradiol in particular is a beautiful lubricant for inside your body and the joints and the connective tissues. And as we start to have a reduction in estradiol, we can also start to have a reduction in the lubrication around the joints. So again, we might find that we've got stiffness or we've got aches or pains and clicks where we've never had that before. So this is the truth that sometimes really does break my heart, because it is incredibly sad that women spend years blaming themselves. Maybe you are one of them, that you think, I'm just not coping, I'm failing, I'm not organized anymore, this feels hard, what's wrong with me? But your body's simply asking you to just be aware that you now get to show up differently. Not that you get to, for yourself and your body. And I've spoken to thousands of women over the years, honestly, who finally understand then that when they know what is happening, they absolutely get to make those decisions for them. And this is so important, because I think had someone told me all of this sooner, if I had had a me at the start of my journey to listen to these episodes every week, what a gift to be able to go, actually, yes, that's me, that's happening to me. And rather than think, oh my gosh, like I've got some horrible illness or disease, and what if I'm dying young? This was my fear. My health anxiety was so bad. I actually went to see a psychic because it's like, I need to know if I'm going to die young. I know they're not meant to tell you these things, but hey, we do the craziest of things when we don't feel in control. So if we carry on inside this space with the panic, with the fear, we don't get anywhere apart from starting to feel worse in ourselves. So if you're listening to this episode and thinking, do you know what? So much of this is me. Then I'd love to invite you to just take a moment. I am running a free masterclass. This is a beautiful, relaxed online session where we'll dive deeper into perimenopause and menopause support coaching. So if this for you sounds quite interesting, then I would love to invite you to consider it. It is right for you if you're listening to this and you're someone who is a women's health advocate. You want to get deeper into the menopause space and support other women with what you know and learn. Maybe you're already in the space, you're already coaching women, you're a PT, you're a health coach, then this masterclass is one for you. It's completely free. You've got the link in the show notes and you're going to absolutely love it. So come and spend some live time. I will be there live inside the Zoom room and be coaching you through exactly the things I would love for you to take away and know. And if you're recognizing any of this for yourself today in the conversation, then the first thing that I would encourage you to do with it is just get curious. Get curious with what you've listened to, okay? Start tracking symptoms. You've got access to my free perimenopause symptom tracker, should you wish it. And also notice what's changing for yourself. Pay attention to those changes. Write things down, whether that be in your phone electronically or whether that be in a traditional pen to paper diary. But recognize it and remember that symptoms can be part of perimenopause. They're not always, but they can also be parts of other changes. So thyroid dysfunction, iron deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies, or just mental load at full capacity and more. So it is important that we don't self-diagnose based on just a bit of ooh, that could be me. If you're concerned, speak with your healthcare professional. Speak with your menopause support coach or professional in the space and look at the whole picture. It's the only way we ever know, because you deserve to be healthy, you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to be listened to properly and have those answers that you desire, right? I would love to invite you to really take a moment. And if today's episode has helped you to feel a little bit more seen or understood, maybe just slightly less alone in what you're experiencing, then share it with another woman. It doesn't matter who, just share it with someone else who you are like, look, I would love for you to listen to this and be aware of this podcast. Because when we continue to share, we continue to help other women grow and learn as well. And if you do want to come and join me in my free menopause masterclass, then click the link and come and get registered. The link is in the show notes, or come find me on my Instagram account. You will get me there at the.menopausecoach. You'll get all the information there. I genuinely love connecting with you as a listener. So hearing your stories, hearing how these episodes have helped, or any questions you've got, I'm super curious about what is on your mind, and I would love to welcome you to come and share those questions or queries with me. So please do that. I want to thank you for spending your life currency with me today. As always, every week when you show up for yourself, I never take that lightly. So well done, and thank you for being here and showing up for you. Now, until next week, take super good care of yourself. I am here rooting for you with another beautiful episode for you next week. And just remember this, you are not imagining symptoms. If you are feeling them, they are happening. You are not failing if you are experiencing them, and you do not ever have to navigate your journey alone. Ask the questions, get the guidance. I'll see you in the next episode.